It was 1981. The newly proclaimed Princess of Wales, Diana Spencer, was attending Prince Andrew's 21st birthday celebration. Also present at the event was Elton John, already an international superstar. Although it was a royal party, the atmosphere wasn't particularly lively. In fact, according to Elton, it felt sparsely attended. And it was right there, in that quiet ballroom, that a historic friendship was born. When Charleston music began to play, Diana approached Elton and asked him to dance. It was a spontaneous, unscripted moment, full of freshness. Amid twirls and laughter, both of them left behind their titles and connected as regular people. It was the first chapter in a relationship that would transcend fame, politics, and the walls of Buckingham Palace. Throughout the 1980s and early 1990s, the friendship between Elton and Diana solidified as one of the most genuine relationships between the world of entertainment and royalty. They attended social events together, shared dinners, and intimate conversations. But beyond the cameras, their bond was an emotional refuge. Both knew what it felt like to be prisoners of their own public image. Diana found in Elton an unconditional confidant. He listened without judgment, made her laugh when everything seemed gray. On her darkest nights, trapped in her marriage and pressured by the monarchy, she would call him to vent. Elton, for his part, also found comfort in her presence. He was battling addictions, emotional turmoil, and the loneliness of success. In Diana, he found an ally who understood the true cost of fame. Beyond the royal gossip, Diana was a revolutionary figure. She transformed the role of royalty by actively committing to unpopular social causes. She visited hospitals treating AIDS patients when people still believed you could catch the disease through physical contact. She shook hands with people with leprosy. She walked through minefields in Angola. She visited shelters for homeless youth. Her activism was radical and brave. To Elton, all of that was deeply inspiring. Both of them believed fame should serve a purpose. Diana used her notoriety to humanize illnesses, break down stigmas, and give voice to the voiceless. Elton did the same with his AIDS Foundation. They worked in different worlds but shared parallel hearts. However, that friendship had silent enemies. The main one, Prince Charles. As Diana's popularity grew, Charles felt increasingly overshadowed, and her close relationship with Elton John wasn't well received by him or royal advisors. Elton wasn't a discreet figure, nor was he aligned with the conservative values of the crown. Charles began to intervene indirectly. When Diana agreed to write the foreword for a charity book by Elton supporting AIDS patients, Charles opposed it. His concern wasn't ethical, it was about image. He feared that associating with controversial causes would affect the monarchy's public perception. Ultimately, Diana was forced to withdraw from the project. Elton took it as a betrayal, not against him, but against the cause, against everything Diana claimed to represent. That episode marked a turning point. Calls between Elton and Diana became less frequent. Visits, almost non-existent. It wasn't an open fight. It was a silent disconnection, full of sadness, guilt, and frustration. Elton knew it wasn't Diana's fault, but the pain was there. For Diana, that distance was also a sign she was losing control of her life. Emotionally isolated and increasingly pressured, she watched as her personal relationships crumbled one by one. Elton was just one of many people she had to distance herself from to comply with what was expected of her. Reconciliation came through another pain, the death of Gianni Versace. Both were close friends of the designer. At his funeral, held in Milan in July 1997, Elton and Diana reunited. They held hands, they cried together, and they laughed. It was a moment of relief, though brief. They spoke as they used to and promised never to drift apart again. Tragically, that reunion would also become a goodbye. Just weeks later, Diana would die in a car accident in Paris, an event surrounded by chaos, negligence, and media pursuit. On August 31, 1997, Diana lost her life while being chased by paparazzi. Her driver, Henry Paul, was intoxicated with alcohol and medication. Accompanied by her partner, Dodi Al-Fayed, and her bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, Diana entered a Mercedes that would never reach its destination. The car crashed in the tunnel of the Pont de l'Alma. The world froze. Elton, having just reconciled with his friend, was devastated. He felt he had not only lost someone dear, but had been denied the chance to continue their bond in peace. He was asked to sing at her funeral, and he accepted with a broken heart. Elton performed a rewritten version of "Candle in the Wind," originally dedicated to Marilyn Monroe. This version, renamed "Goodbye England's Rose," became a global prayer. It was a sober, emotional, and deeply sorrowful performance. When he sang "Goodbye England's Rose," millions wept with him. However, not everyone agreed with his participation. Charles and some royal members were reluctant to allow a pop performance at a royal funeral. It was the Dean of Westminster who defended the idea. The public needed a way to express its grief. After Diana's death, Elton developed a close relationship with Harry. He supported him through adolescence, advised him as an adult, and became a steadfast ally. That closeness deepened when Harry married Meghan Markle. At their wedding, Elton sang again. It was more than a tribute. It was an act of love toward his friend's children. When the media attacked Harry and Meghan for using private jets, Elton publicly defended them. He revealed that he had funded the trip himself, including carbon offsetting. He didn't do it out of obligation. He did it because, like Diana, he knew what it meant to be torn apart by the press. Elton has never forgiven the paparazzi. He holds them indirectly responsible for Diana's death. In interviews and in his autobiography, he has been clear. Media harassment contributed to her tragedy. But he also points to the monarchy, especially King Charles, as complicit. According to Elton, Charles never understood Diana. He saw her as a risk, not as a bridge between the monarchy and the people. That blindness, that need for control, ultimately shaped the final years of Diana's life, breaking relationships and silencing her true self. For years, Elton avoided speaking openly about all this, but recently he chose to do so, not for revenge, but for justice. He doesn't want Diana's legacy to be diluted by myths or lost in palace intrigue. He wants to tell her story from the heart. He spoke about the pain of their distancing, about the pressure Diana suffered, and how her humanitarian efforts were sabotaged by the very institution meant to protect her. And he also spoke about the power of her spirit, her empathy, her bravery, her ability to love even amidst chaos. Today, Elton John continues to defend what Diana stood for. In his concerts, in his speeches, and through his connection with Harry, he honors her memory. Diana taught him to use his voice for more than entertainment. She showed him that fame can be a tool for change. And in a world often ruled by superficiality, Elton has chosen not to forget. To remember Diana is not just to remember a princess. It is to remember a woman who, in her humanity, her pain, and her strength, transformed the very idea of what it means to be a public figure. What did you think of this video? We would love to read your comments and hear your thoughts on the real story behind Elton and the People's Princess's friendship, and whether you think Camilla Parker Bowles had anything to do with her death. See you in the next video, friends.